They told us we were building a rainbow nation. They promised dignity, equality, a better life for all. But 30 years later, for a specific part of our nation, the rainbow was a lie. It was a beautiful dream that never materialized, a promise that dried up in the sun. And as the great Bob Marley once said, they say the sun shines for all, but in some people's world, it never shines at all. For the colored community of South Africa, the sun has been hidden behind the dark clouds of betrayal, neglect, and deliberate marginalization for 3 long decades. Let me be blunt. What I'm about to show you will make you angry. It should make you furious. Because while politicians in Pretoria lined their pockets and the world celebrated our peaceful transition, an entire community was systematically sidelined, marginalized, and betrayed by the very government that promised to liberate them. This isn't just a story of broken promises, it's a story of a people deliberately pushed into the shadows, the forgotten stepchildren of the new South Africa. Some people feel the rain, others just get wet. The colored community hasn't just gotten wet, they have been left out in a perpetual storm, feeling the cold sting of a freedom that was never meant for them. Stuck between the historical beneficiaries of apartheid and the newly empowered black elite, they fell into a trap, what scholars call the missing middle. They were deemed too privileged for some empowerment programs, yet too disadvantaged to compete in an economy still dominated by white capital. It was a political and economic no-man's land, designed by the ANC government to keep them down. The tragedy is rooted in a brutal history. Under apartheid, colored people were violently ripped from their homes under the Group Areas Act. Their families were torn apart. Their vibrant communities, like District 6, were bulldozed into dust. They fought alongside the liberation movement. They sacrificed. They protested, believing with all their hearts that freedom in 1994 would mean restoration. It would mean justice. But what did the African National Congress give them? Policies like black economic empowerment that, in practice, systematically excluded colored South Africans. The government created a narrow-based elite, and while a small, connected few grew spectacularly wealthy, colored communities watched their living conditions deteriorate into generational poverty. Take housing. A constitutional right that remains a cruel, sick joke for thousands of colored families. In the Western Cape, the heartland of the colored community, the waiting lists are a monument to failure. We're talking about applications dating back to 1996. Think about that for a second. People who applied for a home when Nelson Mandela was still president are now elderly, in their 60s and 70s, still waiting. Their lives passing them by in a queue that never moves. And why? Because of rampant corruption. Houses meant for the poor in colored areas like the Cape Flats, Eldorado Park, and Ravensmead were handed to political cronies, to people with connections, while the families who were promised a better life remained trapped in shacks and crumbling council flats, watching the dream of a home fade with every passing year. But the betrayal doesn't stop at housing. Let's talk about the economy. The colored community has been economically strangled. Unemployment in colored townships is catastrophically high, often rivaling and even surpassing national averages, with youth unemployment a ticking time bomb of despair. The government's own data shows a devastating picture of economic exclusion. And when opportunities for small businesses arise, they are often bypassed, denied the loans, the contracts, the support that goes to others. This is not an accident. It is a consequence of a system that does not see them, that does not value them. The state capture scandal, so vividly detailed in the Zondo Commission reports, sucked an estimated 250 billion rands out of our country's veins. That was money that was supposed to build houses, create jobs and fund schools in places like the Cape Flats. Instead, it bought the Guptas their private jets and Dubai villas. And who suffered most? The marginalized, the forgotten. The colored community, already on the back foot, was pushed even further to the brink. The load-shedding crisis at Eskom, a direct result of this looting and incompetence, doesn't just mean darkness. It means small businesses owned by colored families going under. It means medications spoiling in fridges. It means lives being put on hold day after day while the connected elite enjoy their generators. And when this community dares to cry out to protest this profound betrayal, what happens? They are met with silence or empty gestures. The government launches commissions that go nowhere. They produce massive reports with damning evidence, and then nothing. No prosecutions, no consequences. It's a deliberate strategy called commission fatigue. Waiting out public anger until the next scandal emerges, hoping the colored community will just get tired and accept their lot. This is the hidden truth they don't want you to hear. This is the story of a people who believed in the Rainbow Nation, only to find that their colors were deliberately left out of the picture. The ANC's cadre deployment policy systematically dismantled state capacity, driving out skilled professionals and replacing them with loyalists, ensuring that service delivery in colored areas would collapse, that applications would be lost, that hope would be extinguished. But let's be clear, this isn't just about the ANC. The entire political landscape has failed the colored community. Other parties make noise, but have consistently failed to translate that into tangible, life-changing improvements on the ground in the places that need it most. The colored voter has been taken for granted, treated as a given, or worse, ignored entirely. It's enough to make you sick. It's enough to make you want to give up. But we cannot. We must not. Because the colored people of South Africa have been patient long enough. They've been quiet for long enough. An entire generation has grown up in this so-called freedom without ever truly tasting it. They are told to be grateful for a liberation that has left them behind, to be patient for a change that never comes. So what can we do? First, we must refuse to be silenced. Share this video with everyone you know, not just colored South Africans, but every South African who believes in justice and deserves to know how one of our own has been systematically failed. We need to break the silence around this issue. We need to force it into the national conversation. Second, subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications. We are building a movement here, a movement of truth-tellers, of South Africans who are tired of the lies. Every single subscriber sends a powerful message to those in power. We are watching, we are documenting, and we will not let this story be buried. Your subscription gives us the platform to investigate deeper, to expose more corruption, and to give a voice to the voiceless. Third, join the conversation down in the comments. Share your stories. Have you, or someone you know in the colored community, been sidelined? Been failed by a government that promised you the world but delivered nothing? Your story matters. Your voice is evidence. Let's create a record of truth that cannot be ignored, and if you can, support this work directly through channel membership or a super thanks donation. They want the colored community to feel alone. They want you to believe that no one cares, that no one is listening. They want you to blame other communities, to turn on each other, while they continue to feast on the remains of our country. But today, we say enough. Enough with the empty promises. Enough with the systemic neglect. Enough with the betrayal. The colored people of South Africa are not a footnote in our history. They are a vital, vibrant part of our nation's soul, and they have been wronged. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to start demanding justice, restitution, and the dignity they were promised 30 years ago. This isn't just about politics. This is about justice. This is about the soul of our nation. Join me in this fight. Share this video. Speak your truth. Together, we can force them to listen. Together, we can ensure that the sun finally shines for all.